Jackie, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks for asking. So, what brings you into career counseling?
So I have just been concerned about what's going on after I graduated undergrad. I'm currently in a master's program, but I often find myself wondering if I should be doing something different or if I'm on the right track, even though I do enjoy what I am doing. I'm in the school counseling program at CalU right now, and then my undergrad was in social sciences. So I do enjoy working with people, but um, yeah, I always come back to, am I in the right place? Am I doing the right thing? So I kind of just wanted to see what my options were.
Okay. So, how do you like the program at Cal? Is it like enjoyable, or do you think that has something to do with it? Like, since you're questioning.
So I do enjoy the program at Cal, and I really like everything that I have to do regarding like school counseling related stuff. I try to relate everything to school counseling that I've done, and I'm excited to start my internship in the fall. I've worked in schools the past 4 years since I've graduated, so I do enjoy the program. I don't think it's the program itself that would cause me to think differently.
Okay, so we'll dive more into it as our next throughout our next couple sessions. Today, I kind of just want to get to know you a little better. So we're gonna start off with some personal things, and we'll move more into like work experiences and stuff. So tell me about your friends and family.
So I grew up. I have a twin brother. I have an older brother. Um, Mom and dad ended up getting divorced, but grew up with a family of five. My really good friends. I have two friends who are teachers, or they're one's in a master's program. The other one just graduated, and they're working on getting full time teaching positions. I have another friend who's a nurse. Um, Another friend who's a chiropractor. So all of my friends tend to help people kind of like I'm interested in. And then my brother's not similarly to me, very different, but um, yeah.
So I think that's interesting how like your friend group actually fits in with your career interests as well. It sounds like so. I feel like that also helps build your relationships and stuff. So that's awesome. So do you have any volunteer experience in the past or currently or
So I do have volunteer experience in the past, more so when I was in undergrad, but I volunteered with youth at a school. So just like an after school program, like helping the kids with their homework. I've volunteered doing a couple things like here and there, but not too much volunteer experience. Um, and I have when I used to be a cheer coach, and when I coached cheer, I we had this kind of program within the program, like making sure that our girls are volunteering and being active in their community. So I would volunteer with them, doing little things.
that's awesome. That's awesome that you also promoted the volunteer experience as well. So Um, what kind of work experience do you have in the past and currently?
So I feel like I've worked lots of different positions. My very first job was lifeguarding, and then I babysat for a while. Um, in college, I worked mainly at Cold Stone Creamery, um, and then I would decorate cakes there as well. And then in the summers, I was a camp counselor, and then I became a camp director. Um, and then after, I would also work after school as well while I was in college, through the Y. So I had several different positions. So camp counselor and an after school teacher. And then after I graduated, I worked summer camp, and then I also was coaching cheer at my old high school. And then I also was still working after school, and then I was also doing I got it was called student oh my gosh, student support specialist was the position name. And it was through Presley Ridge at Stowe Rocks Elementary. And it was pretty much like a counseling almost position, which was really interesting because they wanted somebody with a master's degree. Um, but I ended up getting the position, and it was like a grant-based position, and then that job fell through, and then I ended up quitting cheer. So had a lot of different career changes. And then I worked at Cold Stone again, kept decorating cakes. And then the past 3 years, what I've been doing is I've been a prevention specialist in several different school districts. So teaching drug and alcohol prevention programming, working on social emotional learning skills with students. Um, Very similar to school counseling stuff. I work closely with all the school counselors in the buildings. I teach yoga. That was a big part of my job as well. And then in the summers, I have summers off, but I've been nannying a couple of kids over the summer.
Awesome. So it sounds like a lot of your past work experience kind of revolves around what you want to do in the future, especially working with kids. It sounds like you've worked with kids with every job you've had so far, even if it's something as simple as serving a child ice cream, all the way to working one on one with a child. So I think that's a good start. And I think, I mean, it sounds like you are necessarily want to be involved with children. So, so I'm just gonna tell you. Oh, actually, no. Um, do you have any like health or physical issues that could prevent you from doing a specific job or anything? This is just good for me to know. So if we need to um, revolve around something and we just want to do that immediately so we don't try to get you on a path where that might not be able to work out. So
I would say no. I am allergic to animals and I love animals, and I've thought about that before in the past, but like volunteering or working at like an animal shelter, I don't think would be feasible because I'm allergic to cats and dogs and everything. So,
okay, well, we're gonna probably stay away from that area if that's okay with you then.
yes.
um, so I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about myself, just briefly. I'm currently going to school for counseling as well. I'm in my master's program, and I'm looking forward to helping you find a career. I have a daughter. She's 2, so she keeps me on my feet all the time. I've also worked with children. I still currently work with children at daycare throughout the week. So I can definitely relate to some of the things that you are interested in so far. Uh, Tell me about some of your hopes and dreams that you have revolving around your career.
I would really like to become a school counselor. I'm looking more so at middle school, high school age, but I'm open to elementary as well. And then I would really, really like to get back into coaching as well. I enjoyed that, and I enjoy being like the active part of coaching and just being a positive influence on the girls. So I'd really like to, girls and guys if there were some, but I've never personally encountered that. So just being that positive influence and coaching again, because I really did enjoy that.
Okay, well, we'll keep those in mind as we work through and looking at some of our um, assessments eventually. So this week, I'm actually going to give you, I'm going to send you some links of some assessments. One is the 16 personalities, and another one is called the Focus 2, which helps specify on more of jobs that may qualify throughout your interests, values, and all that. So I'm going to send that over to you, and then we can meet next week. Do you have any questions at all?
I don't. Thank
Oh,
you.
okay, sounds good. So I'll see you next week after you complete those assessments, and we'll go from there.
All right. See you next week.
Hi, Jackie. Welcome back. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for asking. So, were you able to complete those assessments?
I did. I did do all of them.
Okay, awesome. And how do you think the assessments went? Do you have any positive or negatives about them you'd like to discuss, or?
I thought they went well. I enjoy taking those kind of tests and learning more about myself, so I'm excited to see what the results said.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to kind of go over it a little bit together. Let's see, 1 second. Whoops. Okay, so we're going to go over, actually, we're going to go over this one. So we're going to go over the Focus 2 portfolio first. So we're going to start with the work interest assessment and see how that went. So it looks like you scored highest on social, enterprising, and artistic, which those fall under the helpers, the persuaders, and the creators. So we're going to go over one by one, and I'm just going to explain it a little bit more in depth so you understand it better. So social, which is the helpers, means you like to work in more of a problem solving field. You enjoy teaching, you care about others, you have some volunteer work, and you like working as a group, not necessarily by yourself. And a group could also mean just one on one, as long as you're with someone. You are highly verbal, you can express yourself well along with others, and you are friendly and understanding. Does this one kind of sound like you, do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that one. I enjoy doing all of that stuff that it describes. So
Okay, and you stated you've worked with children. Have you done a lot of like group settings when you work with the children, or is it usually just one on one?
I have done a lot more group settings than one on one. So
Okay, so I think that kind of lines up pretty well then. Okay, so the next is enterprising. So this is when you enjoy selling and promoting. You have more power and you're able to talk and lead groups. You enjoy influencing others and being in a leader position. You often use skills to influence others, and you often enjoy discussing politics and competitive activities, which could be self confident, talkative, and energetic. How are you able to relate to that?
I all I can think about is being one, a camp counselor and a camp director, the leadership position. But I really thought about coaching cheer. So, like I said, I want to be a positive influence. So I would say that that fits pretty well with what I want to do.
Yeah, and I think I have to agree with you. Like thinking back into last week, this is kind of like where you would be angled as the cheer coach because it basically describes your whole experience. So I think that's awesome that it relates so much to you. The last one is artistic, which is under the creator category. So for artistic, you prefer to be expressive, like new opportunities and new things. You typically do not like structure just as much. You prefer to be creative and use your imagination. Some activities you may enjoy would be writing, poetry, photography, designing, singing, acting, dancing, painting, attending theaters, and reading. How does that relate to you in your work experience?
So I actually started going to school for photography, and sometimes I do it on the side as like a side job. So I would say that that works very well in regards to work experience, and then also creating new ideas. Like with my last position as a prevention specialist, we came up with this trunk or treat idea, but had like related it to being drug free and related it to Red Ribbon Week. And that was my idea. So creating things like that too in the field. So I definitely think that describes me pretty well.
Awesome. That's great to hear. So we're just going to take a look as soon as my mouse wants to load. Sorry, it's frozen. So we're just going to take a look. Maybe. Give it a second. because it's not loading through. There we go. So we're just going to take a look and relate the work experience to Holland's theory. So Holland's theory, you showed that your three highest areas were social, enterprising, and artistic. And if you look at the screen, so this kind of shows you a little bit more where this can fall under the careers. So public health would be more interpreting. Um, More social would be an educator, and I think that falls more under you right now than anything, which you also scored first on, which that makes sense. And the last one is artistic. So public health communication specialist is one example, but artistic, like we said, you said photography. You almost went to school for that, so I think that's a perfect show how it does relate to you. Any questions so far?
Nope.
Okay. So we're going to look at some of the values that you scored on the values assessment. So your helping society was number one. That is when you do something to contribute to the better of the world and doing something for the greater good. Number two was helping others. It's when you're being involved in helping others in a direct way, either individually or in a small group. And the last one is influence, is when you're persuading and influencing others to change their attitudes, behaviors, or opinions. Do those values seem to like line up with your own?
Yeah, I would definitely say so, and would say that when I'm doing one of those things, that I get most satisfaction from doing that.
Sounds great. So here's the personality assessment. We're actually going to skip this for a minute because we can relate this to the 16 personalities. So we're going to skip down to the skills assessment. So I'll just go over how you scored on that. Your number one was helping, which is actively looking for ways to help people. Your next one was managing people, is when you're assigning them duties to others, motivating them, and evaluating their performance. And the last one is problem solving. It's when you have the ability to identify a problem, review related information, develop, evaluate options, and implement a solution. Have you used these skills a lot in your past job experiences?
Definitely helping with my last job, but also managing people. So I was an assistant manager at Coldstone and then a camp director. So I had to manage the other workers at Coldstone and then kind of manage the other camp or the camp counselors. And then problem solving, I would say that, that kind of just falls in line with just day to day things that happen and trying to figure out a solution to a lot of different kinds of problems. So, yeah, every single one of those.
Awesome. I'm so glad to hear those line up with your own thoughts of skills. So the last section before we do the personality is the leisure interest assessment. So we're gonna go over that. This is more like on your free time, how you rate. So the first one is reality. So with reality, you prefer hands-on activities. You tend to focus on on things in the physical world. You enjoy working with tools or machines. And then you often can be described as frank, genuine, humble, practical, natural, and persistent. How do you feel about reality?
I do like hands-on activities, especially when like I'm trying to implement certain, I don't know, coping skills or trying to teach kids about something. I rather like do rather than just talk or give a worksheet or actually practice it. Um, the gravitate toward to careers that can be performed outdoors. I don't know that that necessarily matches up, but I was a camp director, and I guess I would say in the summertime, I would prefer to be outdoors rather than inside. So maybe that's where that comes from. So
Yeah,
for the
it
most
most
part,
likely is because this is also like in your free time, like your leisure. So if you like you usually would prefer to be outside in the summer than inside. That's probably where it does come in. So I think that's a great connection that you just made. Aesthetic is your next one. So this is when you tend to be creative and intuitive. You enjoy activities like writing, painting, sculpting, playing an instrument, and performing. You enjoy working in an unstructured environment where they can use imaginations and creativity. You often can be described as open, imaginative, original, intuitive, emotional, independent, idealistic, and unconventional. How do you feel like that relates to you?
Um, More so like about my free time, I do enjoy creating things, and I do like painting and crafting and all of that. So I do think that relates very well.
Okay, that's awesome. And the last one is inquiring. So inquiring is under the thinkers category. So it's when you're involved in activities that you have to do with ideas and thinking. You search for facts and figure out problems mentally. You like to observe, learn, investigate, analyze, evaluate, or solve problems. You prefer working with ideas rather than people or things. Within the inquiring, you could be described as analytical, analytical. I can't say it.
Analytical.
Yeah, and analytical. Okay, curious, rational, cautious, independent, reserved, intellectual, and modest. How do you think inquiring fits into your leisure activities?
I feel like I got this one because a lot of the time, if I'm curious, which I'm a very curious person, but if I am curious, like I Google everything and I find answers to everything on the internet, and research all this stuff on the internet. So I would say that that fits in pretty well.
Okay, sounds great. Okay, so we're just going to scroll back up here into the personalities. So this personality assessment will differ a little bit from the 16 personalities. So we're just going to go through um, what you are here. So it looks like you're independent, but you like to work on your own projects where you can associate with other people. Even though you prefer to work with people, you are still independent when thinking about new ideas and projects. You like to lead and you're able to attract and inspire others. You know how to motivate people and get great satisfaction from helping. You are interested in ideas behind a job and you want to understand the work to be done. And your approach to work and life is to be orderly, set goals, make plans, then proceed with the tasks at hand. How do you think that fits your personal personality type?
I think that fits me to a T. Very enjoy helping people. Um, I need to have like order and a plan before I can do things. Um, but I like being with people more so than being alone, and people give me energy. So I think that that describes me very, very well.
Okay, sounds great. So we're also so off the personality type, comes up with like a career that would be good for you. So this doesn't have to be set in stone. Obviously, it's not always correct, but it goes off of your interests and your assessment. So I'm going to read it. It says people with your personality type are attracted to occupations where you can help people learn new skills, acquire knowledge, improve their well being. Examples of such occupations are found in fields such as teaching, counseling, psychology, religion, health, and some of the arts. So, hearing that your soon to be career, doesn't match up with the career's assessment, how does that make you feel?
It just kind of reinstates that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So it is kind of nice to see this, especially when I can get confused and unsure about my career path. So,
And that's totally understandable. I mean, while you're in school, everything gets really hectic and sometimes you can start doubting things when you get overwhelmed. And I hope this does create some reassurance for you. So the next thing we're going to go over is your 16 personality assessment and what you scored on that. So your type was turbulent campaigner. And within the turbulent campaigner, your personality traits came up as extroverted, intuitive, feeling, prospecting, and turbulent. So this kind of just shows you how much of each. So we're just going to go over it briefly. So within the mind, it looks like you're more extroverted than introverted. You work better in groups with other people. And I'll just show you the little thing if you'd like to read it while I'm talking. So you work better with in group settings, but you also work well on your own as well. So the next one is energy. So you're 70% intuitive and 30% observant. So it sounds like that you have a more open-minded and curious mind. Your energy, I'm sorry. So you don't mind trying new things out, thinking of new things. You seem to stay focused on more things than not. So the next one is nature. This is where you have the feeling, which is 79% in nature. And that's kind of how we cope with our emotions, with our feelings. So this talks about you being able to stay focused, your cooperation, and you have a sensitive side, but you're able to control that sensitive side as well. The next one is tactics, and you have prospecting 54%. And this just talks about how you are able to reflect on your work and your decision making. And your last one is identity. This was the difference between assertive and turbulent. So this just shows how confident you are in your abilities, and you seem to. So the turbulent is when you're able to figure out things faster, and you would be more confident. So, any questions so far?
Nope.
Okay. So we're just gonna click into the turbulent campaigner real fast, and sorry about that. Okay, so let me move this so I can scroll. So the 16 personalities, I'm not sure if you got to look over it after you were able to go through and get your results. So when you click on what you were, which is the campaigner, it brings up this page where you're able to investigate and look more into what your answers were and your strengths and weaknesses that you may have gotten. Over here, you have romantic relationships, friendships, parenthood, career paths, workplace habits, and conclusion. You can go through on your own time if you're more interested in the campaigner personality that you got. So, let me stop sharing real fast. So going over all this, so how do you think this lines up with your lifestyle of being like a daughter and are you just like a daughter? Like how do you think everything lines up? A coach, you can even say a coach, you're a teacher. How does that all line up? Do you think it lines up well or?
I would say that it does line up well. I know that, I mean, helping, I feel like was a really big theme throughout everything. And I feel like, um, even like being a daughter, like I really try to, help my parents out as much as I can. And then just career wise and with friendships and just really everything that I do, like I try to help and like I want to be around people for the most part. So I'd say that lines up really well.
Well, I'm glad you agree with most of your assessments. And if you have any additional questions after you look more into it, if you decide to, feel free to ask. You don't have to hesitate. Next week, we're going to talk about some of the career choices you could have, what the Focus 2 decided that would fit you the best. So if you don't have any questions until then, I will see you next week.
Okay, sounds good. See you then.
Thank you. Hi, Jackie. Welcome back.
Thank you. Hello.
So today we're going to go over some of the not assessment results. We're going to go over some of the career results that the Focus 2 gave you. The 16 personality did give you a little brief one, so we'll just go over that first and then move along into the main one. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so you probably recall this page from last time. So we are going to go under the career paths, and we're just going to kind of scroll down, and this just kind of goes over what would work best for you. Let me see. So this is going to talk about, if we're going to look just right here. So it just lines up with your personality type. It talks about that a good thing would be where a job is the same for you every day. So where you don't have dramatic change. So more of like a structured environment than a like free for all environment. Do you think that would work better for you?
I think I mean, I do like some structure, but I would say that, I mean, I don't know, half structure, half be able to have that creativity and not so much structure.
Okay. So, and then we're going to talk about the careers. It gives you some suggestions on careers. So it states that you may be drawn to careers in nonprofit, public service, counseling, education, customer or public relations, hospitality, media and entertainment, and in the service industry. So it sounds like those also line up with what your career is looking like to be, which is counseling, and what you're still interested in. So I think that looks like it's going to line up well. Okay. So the next thing we're going to go to is the career focus to the combined assessment. So the combined assessment kind of went over everything and combined everything to where what would fit you best with all the from the work, the values, personality, skills, and leisure category. So your first one was the occupation camp director, and your second one was recreation worker. Do either of those sound like that something that would fit you? It sounds like you have had some camp director, camp counselor experience. So
Yeah, so I actually was a camp director, and I enjoyed it, but I don't think it was anything that I would want to do with my career. So
yeah, it sounds like that was just more of a job for you than a career. And there's nothing wrong with that because everyone wants something different. So we can scroll down a little bit. So you can just briefly look into these and tell me if there's anything interesting, and then we can dive more in depth on that.
I don't see anything right now.
I can keep scrolling if my mouse will load. So we can scroll down here and see if there's anything else that interests you.
The high school guidance counselor.
Okay. So the high school guidance counselor. So it looks like they average a salary out. So according to this, the Focus 2, the salary would be about 58,000. It's in the community and social work, the social service area. It matches up well with your values. It matches up with your values, your personality, and skills. So we can dive more in depth with that. And Okay, so there's this website. It's called the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. So we're going to go up to the search button and we're just going to do high school counselor. And we're going to see what it can pull up for you. Okay. We can do school and career counselors. We're going to click on that. And so with school and career counselors and advisors, it looks like the 2020 median pay was 58,000. So this just gives you a little overview of that area. You just scroll down so we can do and then here's also some other options that could fit that category. My mouse is just not working outright. So this is actually going back to the community and social service occupations, which the Focus 2 actually fell under as well. So let me actually go back because that means I hit the wrong button. So let's try this again. Let's go to the guidance counselors instead this time. Here we go. So with this is just looks like talking about the counselors in general. But if we can scroll down, this talks about the highest levels of employment. So it starts with elementary and secondary, which you would fall under, is the highest area industry of the employment. And then this is just a really good resource. I always can email you the link if you'd ever want to look up other things. So employment, this is from 2018, a statistic of the employment. Here's a location of the counselors on this one. Annual mean wage. So do you plan on staying in Pennsylvania or are you unsure at the time?
Unsure. It is likely that I'll end up moving.
Okay, so this would be a really good resource for you, just to check it out what the average wages are in different states. So as of Pennsylvania, it's 61,000 to 74,000, and it does vary around us. Some of them are lower, and some of them are the same. So. And then here's also another really good resource if you plan on moving. So we're here in this little area, but it looks like there's a lot of dark green. The dark green shows where there's more employment jobs available. So it looks like you would have that opportunity and availability to move around a bit and look for another job. Any questions so far?
Nope.
Okay, so we're gonna kind of look into how to become this, although we are already on the path. If you decide to change your career or add something to your career, I could show you just with this. So if high school, so this just tells you a little bit about clinical and counseling psychologist. This is what it pulled up. So it looks like employment. You can look up the employment, the salary, and all that good stuff. You can find some local programs, certifications that you always can add on to it. It looks like it is trying to load because it clicked on it by accident, but so this would actually be a good resource to add on certificates to your program. So there's like an addiction specialist, which you might not necessarily need if you do plan on working with children. but this is just, you can go through it, and there might be stuff that does relate to more school, in a more school setting. So yes. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing my screen. Do you have any questions?
I don't. Nope.
Okay. So how do you think your assessment, your job, your career results lined up with your personal results? I understand that the counseling wasn't on the top of the list, but that doesn't mean it's completely ruled out.
I think that it lined up pretty well. I enjoy being active, so like not sitting at a computer or desk all day, which is maybe why that I got camp director as the first one. But I would say that, they do line up pretty well, and that I'm happy with the results, and it kind of just reinforces, that I am on the right path. And if I do decide to do something else, there are a lot of different jobs on there that could line up with my personality as well.
Okay, sounds great. Do you have any other questions for me today?
I don't.
Okay, well, I'm glad that I could help out a little bit with that reassurance. If you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out. I'm here. I would be more than happy to help. But I want to wish you good luck in your career decisions and everything, and just good luck. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you.